I'm going to read you the story, and I want you to hearken back to the movie The Color Purple, when the white woman came upon Oprah Winfrey with her children. I forgot what her name was in the movie. And the white woman wanted the children, and no matter what Oprah Winfrey said, she was going to have those children. And they even beat her up so that the white woman can have the children. So I want you to keep that scene in mind. And I'm going to read you this story. It's called Concerned White Woman for Black Child. When Debra Harrell allowed her 9-year-old daughter to play in a park unattended on July 1st, the 46-year-old South Carolina mother did not abandon her child, as some provocative headlines would have readers believe, nor did she carelessly leave her to fend for herself amid pedophiles and pimps. In a nation where black mothers struggling in poverty are routinely mischaracterized as leeches on a system, overburdened with coddling corrupt corporations, Harrell did what we're told black mothers must do or face swift and painful condemnation. She went to work. After weighing her few options, Harrell made a decision that she felt was best for her child, a decision that enabled her to continue to provide for her daughter without leaving her home alone. She gave her a cell phone in case she needed her and left her among throngs of children and parents in a popular park while she trekked less than 1 mile to her job at McDonald's. On any other day, Harrell would have taken her daughter with her and allowed her to surf the web on her laptop. Unfortunately, that laptop was stolen from their home, and with nothing to do while her mother worked, the young girl asked to go outside and play. While she was playing at the park, a concerned white woman asked the girl why she was unsupervised. When she responded that her mother was at work, the woman immediately called the police. This chain of events led to Harrell being arrested for unlawful neglect toward a child and her daughter being placed in the custody of the Department of Social Services. Tragically, it never once seemed to occur to this white woman that there were other ways to alleviate her concern. The most obvious choices being to call Harrell or keep an eye on the girl until her mother returned. Apparently, though, the entire proverbial village has been completely destroyed, and that would have been too much like right. The Color Purple, in the scene, The Color Purple was trying to show you just how much power white people had over black people in those days. This didn't happen 60 years ago. This happened a few months ago, and it's still happening. Now, the little girl had a cell phone on her, and I guess the little girl didn't think of it, or, you know, she is 9. I mean, she's not 4, she's 9. Now, when I was a child, my parents would leave me home alone. In fact, there was nobody home when I got home. I didn't have anybody look after me. We didn't become rich until much later, until I was like 9 years old. So from about 6 to 9, I was by myself. And then, of course, after I turned 9, we had maids, butlers, chauffeurs, guards, gardeners, the whole 9 yards, chefs, everything. But for a few years, I was by myself in the home. The only thing my parents said is, don't turn on the stove, don't burn down the house. I would come home, do my homework, and I was never a big TV person, so I only watched a little bit of TV, and that's about it. And by that time, they were home. So this concerned white woman destroyed 2 lives. I have never heard anything good come out of Child Protective Services. I have heard stories of neighbors calling Child Protective Services. Nothing, absolutely nothing had happened in the house. The house was pristine clean. Everybody was fed. But Child Protective Services, on the basis of the neighbor simply calling, goes and takes the children from the people, and the people never seeing their children again. And why is this agency so powerful? Because they have a national union. And even mayors, governors have tried to come against them and were incapable of doing anything. They were incapable of firing child molesters within the agency, child abusers within the agency. Just like teachers who have a national union, who have child molesters, child abusers, and they can't fire the teachers. Child Protective Services. And you have agents who simply have a personal vendetta against the citizen, and then they go in, take their children just because they can. Mayor, governor, nothing. Can't do anything to them. Can't touch them. There should not be anyone that powerful. Now, this woman is doing the right thing. Now, here's the deal. The reality is black children do not get kidnapped. Black children are not held hostage. And black children, if somebody does take them, because black children are far more aware of the evils of man, find their way home by themselves more often than not. A lot of these stories of a black children that did get taken, the black child found their way home all the way from 4 years old on up. I've seen those stories over and over again. At the same time that the entire nation is looking out for a little blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl. And in fact, that happened more than once, where the nation is looking for a blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl. It's all over the news, and a little black girl is taken, and the black girl, within hours, finds her own way home. Kidnapped, taken. I'm not saying she pulled a ninja move and killed her kidnappers, but she had the wherewithal to get out of the situation and come home by herself. I have never heard of Child Protective Services doing anything good. I've heard nothing but horror and horror and horror. Understand this, and there's a lot of people say, well, there's these, the white trash and they live in the trailers and they live in filth and blah, 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 blah. That's because you're trying to put standards on people now. 60 years ago, or maybe 100 years ago, everybody lived like that. They had dirt floors, mud walls, or untreated wooden walls, and everybody lived like that. Only the very, very rich had solid walls with drywall or bricks or whatever, with marble floors. But we're trying to put our sense of decency on somebody else. I just don't understand. They said, I went in and the floor was dirty. This is no place for a child. Take the child. The floor's dirty? What are you talking about? What, she didn't sweep the floor? Is the child gonna die? And unfortunately, when abuse cases really happen, and here's the other side of that. When I hear about abuse cases, they said that the Child Protective Services came and did nothing. Real abuse, real live torturing children. And the CPS shows up and does nothing. Well, I didn't see anything. And you can't take them to court. You can't say you had a duty. The grandmother or the aunt or somebody says you have a duty. No, I don't have a duty. We just happen to, so what's the point of it? It's like the police that stands there and the guy behind him is being murdered. Well, I don't have a duty. You can't sue me. I don't have a duty. You don't have a duty to be a policeman, and they don't have a duty to protect children. That is the insanity of all of this. And unfortunately, this sort of situation, this terrible situation like I've just read here about the poor black single mom, happens to black people all the time. And here's the deal. Here's some other stats that you will probably cringe at. Black children are twice as likely to be taken by Child Protective Services, put into foster care. And here's some more horrible stats. 50% more likely to be molested and abused in the foster care system. Why do you think that is? It's this whole white supremacy that says blacks are not human. What does that mean? That means in the psyche of the foster parent person, the black child is not a black human child. It's an object. It's a sofa. If it's a chair, it's a bookcase. It's a coffee table. It's not a human. It's a spoon. What do you do with a spoon? Oh, I'm sure you drop spoons on the floor. I'm sure you kick a spoon. I'm sure you dip a spoon in hot water. I'm sure you scratch your butt with a spoon. Oh yeah, abused. 50% more likely to be abused across the board. Black boys and black girls in foster care. And then again, Child Protective Services cannot be held responsible for this. Well, you put them in foster care. I can't be held responsible for that. All of the atrocities that supposedly the parent that they're, protecting the child from the parent is actually happening to black kids in foster care. All of my research has led to all of this information, all of this data, and they know it goes on. But black people are not humans. This is the message over and over. And if you have dumb people who are foster parents who believe that crap, they're going to do stuff like use black children as a spoon or a tabletop or a something. An object, abusing, molesting. They're not human. You can do it whatever you want to. Thank you for watching the Shakaama Live Show.